Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Race Talk with Roy Henry. And it's a special night. We are here with a driver that has been part of Henry Speedway as long as I can remember, part of a big family. And what has really sparked this interview to begin with was that there was a special thing that happened this last Friday at Vermilion County Speedway. It was a miracle night and a dream night for one driver, Mr. Clint Hall. But as we've been talking today about what happened this last Friday, we have discovered that this kind of thing that he experienced had kind of been happening for some time. And it can be taken back. I'm going to show you about last year, 2015, and then we're going to show you about 2014, and we're going to pick the story up with Clint Hall. Clint, can we go back to the year 2014? We're at Daugherty Speedway. The track is just reopened. You were working with another driver. Who was this?
Dustin Terrell. I was building a car for him at my shop. He wanted to get into racing and built him a car, and it was ready to go, and I ended up driving it the first night, and that got my career started back into racing at a newly reopened track that I'd went to since I was a little kid.
Point being, though, that you had no intentions of driving when the track reopened. Point being, you had not driven for 10 years.
That's
you
correct.
kind of found yourself pushed into this.
Yes, sir. I built the car for him. It was ready to go, and I was telling him to take it out and drive it, and the guy he had lined up to drive the car, he wasn't around for that weekend, and he asked me to drive. And first night we took the car out, got it in Victory Lane, and he had me drive the car every evening after that, and it turned into a track championship.
You brought a picture out. I'm going to take the picture up to the camera. Clint, can you tell us who the children are in this picture?
That would be Joseph Allen Henry Jr. and Landon Knox. Them are my two step-kids, which joined me as a family with Roy, yourself, being JoJo's grandpa. It's a really good thing with all the Henry history to have him in the family and be a part of this racing.
So, with that in mind, that makes us family blood-wise, but we're family through racing.
Yes, sir. I've been around your family since I was at your grandson's age. Started going to the track.
But I want to take this a little bit deeper, and I'm going to look at you face to face, and I'm going to ask you all these things that you've seen happen to you. Do you believe that there's been some spiritual force that's been with you, helping you, that's made these things happen in your life?
Yes, sir. There's something that's helped me, because I would have never dreamed of being a track champion. Only ever winning 2 races in my whole prior racing career. To start racing again and to come out and win races and trophies and a track championship, that's beyond me. I never dreamed it.
Well, is it possible that if we believe the same spiritually, would we be brothers in that sense?
Yes, sir.
That would make us family 3 times deep.
That's correct.
Now, so you didn't know that you were going to be driving in 2014. It wasn't your plan.
No, sir, it was not.
If we were going to bet money on who was going to be track champion that year, which I'm not a bettor, I don't bet, but if we were ever going to bet, was anybody ever going to bet that you would win? Would you have bet on yourself that you were going to be track champion?
No, sir. I never would have ever dreamed it.
Now I'm going to take this up to the camera. This is the 2015 program for Daugherty Speedway, but it shows the 2014. Shows the 2014 track champions, and there's an 8-ball car on there. And who is that, Clint?
That's me, Clint Hall.
And so, what is that telling us?
It was a very good year, and very happy to be able to accomplish that at our local speedway.
Okay, you didn't know you were going to drive a car. You had no expectation at all of becoming a track champion. That's kind of like a miracle, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
But it continued on to the next year. We're going to show another thing that happened last year that most people don't know. And that is, this is a national magazine?
National magazine.
This is a national magazine. So this is 2015. I'll bring this up, show this on the camera. And on this national magazine is Clint Hall. Clint, who else is in this picture?
My brother Lee Hall is in the center of that photo, racing hard, and then we got Wally Kirst on the inside. It was a very awesome night of racing.
Now, Clint, did you do anything, were you why were you chosen to be on a national magazine in 2015?
There again, a higher power only knows. It's never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I'd ever be featured on a national magazine. Not a local driver, you know. You always see other people, and that's one of them dream things, or as you would say, a miracle.
Okay, now with that in mind, we're going to talk about what happened on Friday night. You won your heat race.
Yes, sir.
But even at winning your heat race, not all the cars for the class were in that race.
No, sir. Only half of the field in the second heat.
So when you come out for the feature race, it's really a whole new.
Yes, it's a whole new game because you're racing against everybody at that point. All the fast cars, not just who they lined you up with in your heat.
Now, can we talk a little bit about who is in your racing family?
You got me, you got my older brother Lee J. Hall, you got his boy Lee Joseph, you got my sister Tanya Hoskins that drives the 32 car, and you got my younger brother Andy Hall that drives the number 15 car.
And then your dad had raced.
Then my dad had raced in his younger years. He had drove a number 90 car, and that's where Lee J's number come from.
Now, you represent the Hall family, but the Hall family, we just learned tonight, is connected to the Henry family, but otherwise, how else are you connected to some other racing family?
Lee J's wife, maiden named Bino, she's connected to Jonah, Joe, James, connected to Jared Crick with his wife, Andrea. It's a big racing family. A lot of us go to the track every weekend and do what we love.
So what we're finding out is that the more we dig into our blood family, and the farther we go back, the more we're finding we're pretty much all related.
Yes, sir. In one way or another, we're either blood related or we all was real close friends at one time, if we're not family.
Now, I thought that I was coming here tonight to do an interview with a man that was going to receive a new nickname called the Miracle Man, talking about what happened this last Friday. But then as we came to talk about this interview, we started realizing like there was a miracle thing happening all the way from the beginning of this 2014 situation. But let's talk about, in this feature race, who all was in the front of the pack of this race?
All really good cars that run strong every night. We had Jesse Simmons, which has pretty much won every feature at Vermilion County since it opened this season.
And he had just came to Daugherty Speedway and dominated there the Saturday before.
Dominated there Saturday before, and had Lee Hall in there. He's a hard contender, my brother, and he's had multiple track champions, very hard to beat guy.
Your brother's 11-time track champion.
Yes, sir.
You had the one track champion.
Yes, sir.
Jesse Simmons, the legend, who what we call him now because he seemed to be unbeatable.
Yep.
Now, if going into this race, we shouldn't be talking about betting because I don't bet and don't believe in betting. But if you were to have bet who was going to win that race, would you have even bet on yourself?
No, sir. I would assume that Jesse was going to walk away with the race like he had every weekend. His car's fast and hard to catch.
Now, what else was special about this last Friday was that your brother Andy was there.
Yes, sir. My brother Andy, my sister Tanya, my stepdaughter Bridget, and her husband. There was all kind of family there. My other stepdaughter Carrie. There was a bunch of people in the stands to watch me try to put on a good show, and I drive hard every week and try to do my best and drive clean and of course, like everybody else, you're there to try to win.
Now, Clint, were you surprised when you found yourself in the lead for the first lap, that you were in the lead?
Yes, sir. It was amazing to me. It was pure adrenaline at that point, thinking I'm actually outrunning Jesse, you know, because he'd been on a rail every week.
You mentioned Jesse because he's a legend. He's hard to beat, but then you got your 11-time track champion right there
beside me, and we've always raced since we was little kids, whether it was tricycles, bicycles, dirt bikes. It was always a challenge between me and him to race, and to be able to even outrun my brother was a big accomplishment for me.
Now, what was so interesting about the race, when you got in the lead, somehow you pulled away from them, and that was to your advantage. However, there were 2 times at least there was a yellow flag. So whatever lead you had, yellow flag took it away. And then they restart the race, and you're all 3 together again, and they're surrounding you. How did you pull away from them? How did you get the lead back?
I just kept telling myself to drive smart, drive smart. You got to drive smart, and most of all, protect your car and try to hold your line. At that point, it's a gamble. Don't, like you said, it's a miracle.
And so that's really what sparked this interview. We want to thank Wild Graphics for making this banner for us, and it was supposed to be a special night just to really talk about the miracle race, the miracle man, and these things that have happened that we believe we're not really in charge of. But we were supposed to be going, Cameron and I, the cameraman here, we were supposed to be going to the next house to induct the first driver into the Hall of Fame, and we realized we're at a driver's house and we're experiencing this interview. And Clint, we want everybody to know that the Hall of Fame night is July 23rd, but we also have a new thing that we want everybody to know about, is that it's my understanding that we have been told to me that the property across the street from the entrance to the track is to be used for the Hall of Fame at the moment. But that's what we've been told. So we're all planning to be gathering there for sure, definitely, on July 23rd, and we want to make sure that you will be there.
I will definitely come out and support anything to do with the Henry Speedway Hall of Fame.
Now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the home of Mr. Clint Hall. And Clint, could you introduce us to this gentleman right here?
This is my dad, Lloyd Hall.
Lloyd Hall. Now, Lloyd, you have a brother that looks like you. Who is that?
Buck Hall, Earl Hall.
Now, he's at the racetrack every Saturday night. And when I pass him, it looks like I'm looking at you.
Yep.
So that makes me feel good.
My brother Carl will be there, but he passed away 3 years ago.
Now, you've been working on cars for a long time. Clint, tell us about the working relationship here.
Every night we come out here and we fiddle with the old car. We just decide and talk about how the car drove each and every week and what we're going to do to try to make it better and hopefully to get us some feature wins. And this week it proved good for us.
It's been 3 or 4 hours about every night of the week. If we ain't doing anything, we're discussing what we're going to do.
Now,
even if we ain't working on it.
Is it true that you're the tech man over at Vermilion County Speedway where Clint won this big race, the feature race? And wasn't it true that after the race was over, the drivers wanted to tech the cars?
Yep.
Now you're Clint's dad, and so they thought it wouldn't be fair if you were the tech to tech the car after. So what happened?
Well, then they went and got
Jack.
Jack Dowers, that was the tech man last year, and had him tech because Lee J, they teched the top four. Clint won it, Lee J finished third, so I had two sons in it, so they went and got Jack to tech the cars instead of me.
So what did they find out?
Nothing. It was all legal, just like I told them.
So did they tech all three cars, or who
All
got teched?
4 cars.
Four cars.
Clint, Lee J, Zach Drake, and Jesse Simmons got teched over there Saturday night for the motors.
And so all 4 cars were found to be legal.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Now, Clint, do you believe in Scripture?
Yes.
Well, what was shown to me in Scripture, and is it okay if I talk with you this way?
That's just fine with me, Roy.
Okay, thank you. What I was told in Scripture was that it says that if a man commits a sin, to break one is to be guilty of breaking all of them. Meaning that when you put everybody, all the believers together in a boat, and you're talking about who has sinned, who has committed a sin, who in the boat has not committed a sin. So we're all in the same boat. Clint, can I ask you, when would I ever be better than you as far as that? Or when would you ever be better than me? Could it ever be?
I look at everybody as an equal. It don't matter if you're the richest man in the world or the poorest guy. I treat everybody equal. That's the way I was raised. You always try to help and give your shirt off your back to anybody in need. Everybody should be treated equal in my opinion. And if you're wrong, admit that you're wrong. You know, and life goes on.
And the point being that I would think that if we look at everybody that's ever come to the track, there's probably been something that somebody did that made somebody upset. Most likely.
Yes, sir. It happens every weekend. Somebody's not happy for sure. And at the end of the night, you should shake hands and move on with it.
So, Clint, if I would upset you at some time, since we're related through my grandson, would there be a thing that I could ever do that would upset you so much that you would say, I'm never welcome at your house ever again?
No, sir. There's always a way around everything. I mean, you can be upset with people, but in the end, you always give in and make a right where there was a wrong.
Now, Clint, there was an incident that happened out at the racetrack at the beginning of last year where you were in an accident. Can you tell us what happened at the beginning, what caused the accident?
I couldn't see Mr. Parsons. Sad thing that his car got tore up and mine too. We ended up having a wreck coming out of turn 4 on the front stretch. Part of it me because I couldn't see him, and the other part with the track lights not on, and then it got into a heated argument after that.
The people involved in the accident got out of their cars, and the wrecker was there, and they were trying to load your car. What was happening there?
You had to have safety chains on the front, and the wrecker driver backed up and hooked up to my car, and as me and Mr. Daugherty was having a heated argument, talking about the light not being on and what does thumbs up or thumbs down mean was what our conversation had to do with. Wrecker, he hooks up and picks my car up after me and Mr. Daugherty had already had our talk, and there was a hunk of aluminum that must have come off Parsons' car under my front tire. As your car's square and the wrecker's picking you up in the front, you're assuming your car's going to be drug off this way. I could envision in my mind that this chunk of aluminum is going to tear my car up more when the back tire runs over. Now it's going to cost me another $100. I picked a piece of aluminum up and underhand tossed it over the car.
So Clint, when this race that caused this incident at Daugherty Speedway, when it all started, it first started because of a light issue.
A light issue at the track, yes. It was my first night out at the track with a brand new car. You know, if I could have drove around him, I would have drove around him. I did not see him. Turning sideways in the dark, I couldn't see him, and it cost two real nice cars to get tore up that night. And in that moment, you know, after you work hard all winter, tempers are going to flare.
And so then there was this incident where it looked like you were doing something that the track owner felt that
was endangering him or an employee.
And so the track owner felt that you were endangering
him or his employee. He felt that I threw the hunk of aluminum at them. No intentions to hurt anyone around me. It was bad enough that we'd already had a wreck.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about an incident that happened at Daugherty Speedway involving Clint Hall in an accident with a 586 car. And it takes us back to any time we go to a racetrack when there's an accident, there has to be judgment calls to be made. And what we've learned from experience that no matter what decision you make, someone's going to be upset. And so, Clint, you ended up being very upset. All this was happening so fast. You found yourself just getting more and more frustration added to the situation.
Yes, sir.
And you reacted in a way that if you were to be watching yourself,
I would have been very disgusted with my actions. Yes, sir. Like I said, once again, want to apologize to anybody and everybody that had to see me in a fitting rage. That's no way to conduct yourself, and if I had it all to do over again, I would have conducted myself differently.
Clint, are you apologizing for your actions that night?
But yes, I do apologize to each and every fan in the stand, and even all the workers that was around him that was being decent to me at that time, just trying to do their job.
Now, Clint, as I have been talking with other drivers, and as we've been establishing the Hall of Fame, to be involved in the Hall of Fame, Wall of Fame, and Mall of Fame, that would be drivers, fans, and sponsors, we've been finding ourselves talking about things which we've been finding ourselves coming together as a family. Clint, how would you react if you find yourself in a similar situation that happened at Daugherty Speedway that night?
Well, first thing I would do is stay in my car, let them hook me up and pull me to my trailer and look over what's wrong with the vehicle and try to get it race ready again. I would react totally different. You know, once again, as I said, the fans and stuff don't need to see that. That's not what racing's about. You know, sometimes people get heated in the moment, and it's hard to conduct yourself because you're not thinking about the 1,500 people sitting in front of you. You're thinking about the person that you're upset with at that moment, and learn from your mistakes. But if it was to do all over again, yes, my actions would be totally different.
Now, Clint, has there been a time since the incident at Daugherty Speedway that you've been in an accident to whereas that would have caused you to be angry, but you've learned from the past to handle things different?
Yes, sir. I gotten a couple accidents at Vermilion County Speedway, and the other drivers was heated towards me. Just turned my head and walked away. There's another night for racing, and they'll get over it just like I did when I was upset. 15 minutes after the incident at Daugherty Speedway, I was just fine. It was the heat of the moment. Your adrenaline's pumping, and things happen so fast you don't even realize what you say or do until it's all over with.
Now, when you race at the other racetrack this season, you get along well with all the drivers and all the fans, and everything's fine.
I get along with everybody. We shake hands or give each other a thumbs up, like sitting in the chute beside Jesse Simmons on my miracle win. Give him a thumbs up before we went out on the track, not thinking that I was ever going to win. You know, I would have been happy with the 5th place finish, and to take it all the way home and to outrun them, that was awesome.
Don't shut it off, because here's the point. Why we're here. We're here because there's really something special happening with you. We can see the evidence is here. And so the incident, obviously I think that we're supposed to, all the racing family is supposed to have learned from this. And somehow, I believe this video is going to fix what needs to be fixed. Because here's the point. Ladies and gentlemen, as I am here sitting with Clint Hall, and we're discussing the Hall of Fame, the Wall of Fame and the Mall of Fame, which is now, from what we have been told, to be on the property across the street from the entrance of the track. And we have Hall of Fame night at the track on July 23rd. Is there a situation to where any of us on the Hall of Fame property, is there a line drawn in the sand between the track and the Hall of Fame that says we're not family? Is it? Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm learning from this interview with Clint Hall tonight concerning racing family, if we ever find ourselves in the racing family with anybody, and we find ourselves saying, if we find ourselves angry with anybody in our racing family, angry enough to say, this person is no longer my brother, then what have I done? If I remain that way and I don't forgive, I'm drawing a line in the sand. And I'm saying, this person over here, this brother over here is no longer my brother. And therefore, he and I are separated. What I'm learning, ladies and gentlemen, from going out and meeting the people that have been, that we are coming to know as racing family, that we're a family. And we experience things which can cause anger. But do we let it separate? A house, ladies and gentlemen, Scripture says a house divided cannot stand. Are we a house divided? I think not. I think we're not a house divided.
Right on, Roy.
Clint,
Always family.
come over here.
Always family.
Cameron, do you feel family with everybody you're standing here?
Yep.
You have any issues with anybody you're standing here?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Maybe this interview's done.
Get an interview.
You remember my
Well, he didn't really get upset so much. Your dad's thing was, I don't know, it was always like, I'm still going to get your $5 next week. That always tickled me. You get in his face, cuss, carry on, but when it got all done, you make sure you come back next week, boy. No problem next week. He do it every time. I don't care when it was.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Cameron. It's hard to say cameraman because his name's Cameron. Cameron the cameraman.
That's
Okay,
right, Cameron the cameraman. That sounds like a good name for him because he takes some great photos.
Cameron, who are you related to?
I'm related to my dad, Randy Smith, and my brother, Ray Smith.
How old are you, sir?
69.
69. I'm 60. How old are you?
42.
42. How old are you?
13.
Let me ask us all a question. Are we a family?
Yep.
Is there anybody here that's not part of our racing family?
Well, that, almost everybody I know at the racetrack, they've always been that way. There's a few, you always got a few that's like you know, you don't really care about them, but for 95% of them, you can loan them anything, whatever, they bring it back. It don't matter. Leave your truck open, they'll take nothing.
So what you're telling us, Lloyd, that through the years you've seen the camaraderie. Boy, that's a hard.
Camaraderie.
Thank
There
you.
go.
It with the racing family.
Always, always.